Have you ever encountered somebody who resists everything that you say? That couldn't be more frustrating. This is Dr. Spencer Coaches. Today, I'm going to talk to you about how to deal with resistant people. When people resist you, it can be so irritating, so aggravating, because in your mind, you're trying to help them. You're trying to share with them something you know that can benefit them, that can improve their life. Yet they want to backtalk, they just want to don't follow your advice, or they want to just tell you off and be a smartass. And you're standing there wondering what the hell is going on. You know, just saying you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. When you know you've got something good and you want to share it, and they resist, especially when you're a boss trying to, tell the employee, give them their responsibilities, or if you're a parent trying to explain, why doing certain things a certain way to your child is going to benefit them, or if you're a teacher trying to explain to the student why they should do something, or if you're a salesperson trying to share your product or service and your prospect is completely resistant. They don't buy from you. They don't listen to you. Whatever it is, when you encounter resistance in people, what you're doing is challenging them. And here's what's going on. There's four main levels of resistance, and this is why you're encountering resistance and why people resist you. Number one, it threatens their identity. It threatens their sense of self. It threatens their self-image or self-concept. If you talk to a person who is only into, say, drugs and surgery, and you're a holistic doctor, and you talk to them about holistic health, and they just flat out tell you, I don't believe you. I think you're a bunch of hogwash. You're a quack. Well, it's because you're going against their identity of medicine and health. Or if you're talking to a lazy person, and inherently, well, maybe let's not use that word, but someone who likes to take the easy path, let's say, and you're explaining to them, look, this is what you got to do. You got to put in more time, more effort, son. And they're just like, no, I'm not going to. It's because they identify with taking the easy way out. They don't identify with struggle. They don't identify with patience and tolerance and outlook. They identify with everything's just going to be comfortable and pleasant. It's their identity. You talk to somebody about religious beliefs. This is where there's a saying, you want to create an enemy, talk religion and politics. People identify with religious beliefs and political beliefs. I'm a Democrat, or I'm a Christian, or I'm a this or that. And if you're something else, you're going to be dialectically opposed to me, not just my beliefs, but me. People identify. They think it's an attack upon their self-image. Number two, it threatens how people see themselves, their reputation. If it makes them look bad, they're not going to do it. If it lowers their status, they're not going to do it. I had a patient who said, I went to a life coach instead of a psychologist because people look down on others who go to psychologists. Nobody goes to a psychologist. So I went to a life coach and it helped him. Now, as a life coach myself, I thought that was fantastic. I mean, it doesn't have to be me as long as you're getting the help you need. But I wondered why. He was more concerned about his status, about how people perceived him, about how he looked. A lot of people will not do something because it makes them look bad, even though it can be beneficial for them. Especially, going against the grain. A lot of people just fit into these political views just because it's seen on TV, because it's the socially accepted thing to do, and they're afraid to share their true opinions because they're afraid they're going to be mocked or ridiculed. It makes them look bad. They don't actually apply themselves or do things or explore certain hobbies, if you will, because it might make them look bad. Some people don't. I don't play golf. That's for rich people. I'm not like that. I don't eat at fancy restaurants like those rich, stuck-up people. I'm not rich and stuck up. And again, I think that threatens more their self-image. They identify with a certain status, and they don't want to break from that. Or someone who's wealthy, I won't be called dad in that restaurant. I won't be called dad with that person. Even though that person may be a great friend to them, they're just embarrassed to be around them because it threatens their reputation. Number 3, it threatens what they know to be true. When someone speaks to you about something you've never heard of, like let's just talk about UFOs, and let's go off the rails here. There's just a congressional hearing about UFOs. You talk to people about UFOs, that threatens people's viewpoint of reality. UFO, you're fucking nuts. You're crazy. Because it threatens what they believe to be true. Talk to somebody about time travel. What are you talking about, time travel? That's not possible. You get these ideas that threatens people's idea of truth. I mean, most of us live in a materialistic viewpoint of life, so you talk metaphysics, they're not going to be open-minded to that. Or you talk to somebody who's really into anti-corporate America about having to succeed in corporate America and what it takes, you're going to be like, no, you're just a conformist, you're just a sheep. I don't want to do that. I'm going this way. In other words, what's true for them. And that also fits into their identity. All of these tie together, as you can see. Well, often what you believe to be true about the world is often what you believe to be true about yourself, which is how people see you and how you see the world. What is real for you and what is not real for you. Being congruent in reality, in other words, agreeing upon what is real for a person. You see this in political viewpoints about what gender you are. We don't even need to go there, but you get the idea. I mean, there's a huge debate on that. The other one, well, let me get back to this and what's familiar. What you know to be true is what's familiar to you. We often like to stay in our comfort zone because our comfort zone is really what's familiar. You take a person who is abused and is in one abusive relationship out of another, and you introduce them to a healthy person, a sane person that would actually be good for them, and they throw them out because it's unfamiliar. I've gone through this myself. I used to date party girls when I was younger because that's what was exciting to me, and a normal girl seemed boring to me. A normal girl that probably would have treated me better and had a healthier relationship. I always chose the emotionally unstable women because I was emotionally unstable. And that excited me to have adventure, to be a partner in crime, to have a party friend. Because that's what was familiar to me, that emotional drama. It wasn't until I got older I realized this, and now it's different. Now, usually when you have trauma, it dates back, you begin to define your worldview during developmental years between 1 and 7. You develop a sense of self and who you are based upon how you were raised. Whether you're raised in a healthy environment or an unhealthy environment, whether you're abused, either physically, sexually, or psychologically, or some combination, will change how you look at the world and your definition of self. We often define ourselves out of survival, how to fulfill our needs to survive. And we live the rest of our lives from that viewpoint, from discriminating, from judging. And we determine what is right from wrong and what is good for us and what is not good for us, what helps us to survive and what doesn't help us to survive. We often get stuck in that identity. And anything that is outside of that identity, anything that's outside of that viewpoint of just surviving and fixing, is often seen as threatening because it threatens your sense of survival. It threatens your sense of reality. To imagine, to have a dream. You get hurt of that's so unrealistic. Parents will always crush their dreams. I can't say always, but some parents crush the dreams of their children because their parents are stuck in the world of survival and their children have a dream of being something. And they say it's ridiculous, that's unrealistic. Instead of encouraging their talents, their skills, their abilities, their aspirations. because it threatens them because it's so different than their worldview. It's so different from what they know to be true. It's unfamiliar. So this is what happens more commonly between parents and children. But also, making friends. You tend to gravitate towards people who speak the same language and have similar values and similar opinions. Now, the fourth one, inherent resistance. This is a tricky one, especially for you salespeople, even doctors trying to enroll patients. Inherent resistance to maintain integrity, to maintain that sense of who they are. If it strays from who they are, I am this professional, I need to keep this strict regimen, I will not do that because it compromises my integrity. But it really doesn't. Have a little fun. Loosen the tie. Relax a little bit. No, I've got to remain stiff because this is who I am. I'm a doctor. I need to be serious. I am a very important business person. I need to be serious. There's inherent resistance because they believe that behaving that way or believing a certain way is their integrity. It goes back to your identity. You identify with being a certain way, and anything that is contrary to that way of being that you identify with, you're going to resist. That's not who I am. I'm not like that. Then you develop what's called a shadow, blind spots. Other people can see them, but you don't. And you deny being stubborn. You deny being stuck up. You deny being controlling. You deny being insecure. You deny being unaccountable. And there's a huge denial because it's not who you think you are. It threatens your integrity. But it really doesn't threaten your integrity because true integrity is being authentic. And morals come from having a real sense of who you are. So those four things are the resistant factors. Beyond differences in temperament, some people have different temperaments. Some people are analyzers. And if you don't appeal to their analyzing nature, you don't run statistics, they're not going to want to hear what you have to say. You deal with a driver, if it doesn't help them succeed, then they're not going to want to listen to you. So understanding a person's temperament and their personality type is also important, especially in sales, in connecting, bonding, and enrolling somebody, and ultimately making a close. Ultimately, you're selling yourself no matter what you do. Whether you're talking to your coworkers about completing a project, enrolling people into helping you, or talking to a team and you're a team player and you have some suggestion to the team that you really know a certain way of doing things that can benefit them, and they're being resistant to you because it's so different. Well, these are the factors you need to consider in your communication style. Are you quick and decisive? Are you a feeler? Do you want to feel things out? Are you reading the body language? Are you getting an immediate feedback by seeing their body language? Are you resonating with them? Are you speaking the same language? People will resist you if you don't speak the same language. Once you speak the same language, you often hear, oh, my man, my type of person, we're speaking the same language. Suddenly their guard drops and they want to open up and share. And you guys can talk the talk. And all of a sudden, all of the, hiding behind this false self-image drops and you see the genuine person. So learning to speak the same language, because they identify with that language, that's what they maintain integrity within, and that's what their world viewpoint is based upon. Certain way of talking, learning the same lingo. I remember when I grew up skateboarding, it didn't matter who you were, what area of life you came from, your caste or creed, color of skin. Didn't matter. If you skateboarded, you were cool. And only we skateboarders knew that. Later on, when I got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it had a very similar value because people from all walks of life practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And once you say, you roll? Yeah, I roll. Oh, cool. Okay, now there's no more guard. You relax, you enjoy each other's company, and you share the same talk because you can relate to each other. In other words, making yourself relatable often overcomes resistance because ultimately you want to learn how to overcome resistance. Speaking the same language overcomes the reality barriers, the viewpoint barriers, the integrity barriers, the belief system barriers, the self-image barriers, because you share the same self-image. You roll? Yeah, you roll. Okay, you must be cool then. What belt are you? How long have you been practicing? It doesn't matter because we all started out as white belts. People who are real estate agents people who are doctors, when you're in the same industry, you tend to talk the same lingo. Fathers like to talk to other fathers. Married couples like to talk to other married couples. When you're in the same arena, you tend to associate, birds of a feather flock together. So you understand relatability of values, viewpoints, and integrity of who you think you are, what your morals are. Something that you believe that goes against your morals. I mean, you could be out of a relationship, fresh out of a relationship, and no, I'm still dedicated. I'm not going to see other people because you feel it compromises your integrity. Well, I'm not going to go to that person because they're on the other team, and that wouldn't be fair to my team, even though they're the best person to do the job, or the best person to give you advice, or the best person to align with. You may resist aligning with somebody simply because they live on the other side of the road. And you think that's your integrity. No, these are my boys. I got to stick with them. Loyalty. So I'm not going to listen to you because you're not from the same neighborhood as me. And that's how they maintain their integrity. At least they think that's being integral. Their loyalty. I only do business with so-and-so. Loyalty. Instead of the best man for the job. Often people who are good talkers get promoted over the people who are the most skilled because they're easy to work with. And a lot of higher-ups always believe anyone can be trained. They might not be the most skilled, but if I can get along with them, we talk the same language, or pleasant to be around, I can train them. So therefore, the most qualified always does not get, am I saying that right? The most qualified doesn't always get the raise. It's the person that's agreeable, coachable, easy to talk to, and trainable that gets the raise. Communication is so important in every field and walk of life, whether it's marriage, whether it's sales, whether it's doctor-patient, whether you're just an office worker, coordinating work with other office workers. If you want to get that raise, you better learn how to talk. Public speaking doesn't necessarily have to be a skill. It's a valuable skill to have. But being relatable, that is key in many walks of life. And being relatable often allows a person to become comfortable around you, and they lower their guard and they lower their resistance. You put people at ease. And how you put people at ease is matching their energy. It's a part of being relatable. Be relatable on the viewpoints, be agreeable, and match their emotional energy. In other words, mirror their body language and mirror the tone of voice. If someone's yelling and really intense, then be really intense. If someone's soft-spoken, be soft-spoken. If someone's soft-spoken and you start going like this and being really intense, they're going to feel intimidated. If someone's really intense and you're soft-spoken, they're going to think you're not very confident. They're not going to trust you. Match the tone and energy of the person you're talking to, and that'll automatically lower the guard. It creates trust. Find relatable things in your life. Establish common ground, and that lowers the guard. It lowers resistance. Ultimately, understanding the resistance of a person is learning how to create trust and relatability. When you can overcome the levels of resistance that people inherently have, your sales will go up, your negotiations will go up, your influence will go up. And influence is power. If you're able to influence people around you, you can't control everybody and everything around you. You can only control yourself. You can only control your reactions and your responses. But you can influence people around you with how you come across, how you talk, how you conduct yourself, how you relate to people. That's how you overcome resistance. Now, there's more to it than just what I explained. There is a science. There is an art behind it. And I can teach that to you. I can empower you with the ability Now, you can't overcome every single person, but if you can overcome more than half the people in your life, you're going to get much farther in your career, in your relationships, and in your community. If that's something important to you and that matters to you, then I can help you with that. Because my intention is to help you experience abundance, freedom, and fulfillment in your life and get past that corporate bottleneck that you're stuck in so you can succeed and experience the life you truly want to experience. My contact information will be below this video. Go ahead and like, share, and subscribe and leave a comment so I can get back to you and we can communicate. Thank you so much for listening. I sure hope that helps.